Hi, you're listening to the Real Work Stories podcast, and I'm your host, Benjamin. If this is your first time tuning in, thank you. And if you tuned in before, welcome back. Now, this is the podcast where I talk about all things customer service, from the customer to the corporation and everything in between. But before I get started, I got to say thank you to everyone for all your support for the podcast. Thank you for all the likes, shares, comments, downloads. I appreciate it. I only say it every episode because I mean it every episode. And if you don't already follow me on Facebook and Instagram, make sure you do so at Real Work Stories Podcast. That's where you're going to find out about topics, episode snippets, discussions, and more. I'm going to talk about some things that customers do that, in my completely unbiased and totally professional opinion, are just a complete and utter waste of time. Like, it's those moments when, I think I've said this before, you almost feel like Ashton Kutcher's about to jump out somewhere and be like, ha, you've been punked. Because it's like, there's absolutely no way this is really happening to me. And what makes it even worse in a way is like, customers have the audacity to act like they're not doing it. And so like what they'll do is they'll call in and they'll tell you that they have a problem, which you're like, okay, I've kind of already figured that. But they won't tell you exactly what the problem is. And on top of that, they don't actually want to do anything to solve said problem. Let me give you an example. So customers will call in. Y'all know I work in a bank, right? So customers will call into the bank and they'll say something is wrong with their bank account, but then won't tell us what's wrong. Here's the problem. And this is an extreme waste of time, because basically what the customer is making me do at this point is try to guess one of the possible dozens of reasons of, like, you know, trying to figure out what it is they're talking about. Like, it could be something as simple as like, you know, I deposited, you know, a check or something and it showed up for the wrong amount. It's supposed to be for $10,000, but I accidentally put in $1,000. They won't just tell you that. They'll just keep telling you something's wrong. And then, like I said, this puts me in a position where I'm basically kind of forced to try to guess what's going on. And then when I take too long to guess what the problem is, they have the unmitigated gall to then start huffing and puffing into the phone. Like they got an attitude, just, what? Why can't you just figure this out? It'd be easier if I didn't have to try to guess. You could just tell me what the problem is and then I could fix it. But what do I know? I just work here. You think I make minimum wage and I'm stupid. So, but hey, I'm just saying. Like sometimes I wish I could just tell them, like, silly goose. You silly goose. Just tell me what you need so you and I can both go on with our days. I can fix this problem and life will go back to normal. But they don't want to do that. And then to add hard times and troubles to this already frustrating situation, because I don't know about y'all, but my teeth already starting to grind a little bit because it still kind of triggers me when customers do this. I really can't stand this. But it's like, once you figure out what the problem is, their next way to start wasting time is they don't actually want to do anything to solve the problem. So it's like they want you to pull out a magic wand, tap it on this magic hat, pull a bunny out and say, surprise, it's fixed now, it's done. Like, no, it doesn't quite work like that. We're gonna have to take some steps to fix this. But like, it could be something like if I needed to verify a customer's identity, right? Something's happened, we need to verify a little bit of information. I'm like, look here. I need to verify some more information from you. And the way I'm going to do that is with a few randomly selected security questions, okay? I ask you these questions. I'm going to give you some answer choices. You tell me what answer best fits each question. Then, these idiots will do something like start trying to predict these questions that I already told them are completely random. And they just start blurting out 1,500 super random answers at 1,000,000 miles a minute. And the even funnier part, well, maybe I shouldn't say the even funnier part is because none of this is really funny to me in a way. But like the funny thing is what they start doing is like I said, they start trying to predict what kind of questions we're going to ask. But their responses to what they think these questions are so more far random than the actual questions are. Like they'd be like, oh, my dog's name is Spike. My blood type is AB negative. My second cousin's stepdad's middle brother's first car was a, 1978 Chevy Chevelle or something. Like, what are you talking about? Just shut up and let me ask you these questions that have actual meaning. Stuff. But anyway, like I said, this is all about them just trying to find ways to waste time. So, but the real kicker to this is like, as much as this frustrates me for having my time wasted, it's like my time is actually kind of not being wasted because when I think about it, I'm actually still getting paid for this, regardless of how long this phone call lasts, whether it's 10 minutes or 20. Like I'm getting paid for this. They're not, so either way, it's their loss. But anyway, but while I'm trying to verify this information, the whole time I'm just sitting there really thinking like, if you would have put this same energy that you took to try to randomly guess these random security questions into telling me what the problem actually was, I could have fixed your problem already, and you could have been back in your mama's basement arguing with 12-year-olds while you playing Fortnite. Because that's all you was doing anyway. I mean, they really don't have a life. That's why they call into us trying to act all big and bad and important, because they're not important in their regular lives. But that's besides the point. And just in the spirit of even more time being wasted, after this, so after you go through all of these security questions, or not even after, it's usually during the process of you asking these security questions that the customer wants to tell you how you're doing everything wrong, because apparently they know how to do my job better than I do. They've been Googling it for the last 7 minutes and they know that, customer service isn't supposed to go like this. And I'm just like, how do you trust this article on Reddit? Anyway, not going there. But it's like everything I try to ask them, everything I try to do, they got something to say back to it rather than just simply answering the question. Like they'll say something like, oh, you don't need to know that. Or why are you asking me about X, Y, and Z? They didn't do this the last time I called. Do you know what you're doing? You must be new here because you don't know what you're talking about. Or my personal favorite, and this is what they do after about, after about 15 minutes of them realizing that the conversation ain't going nowhere, then they say, you know what, just hurry up and do what you need to do so I can get off the phone. And it's like, I don't think you realize this, but I've been trying to get off the phone with you since this phone rang. When this headset beeped, I was in the middle of, taking a sip out of my Starbucks coffee this morning, and I was just like, man, you interrupted a very good coffee. But now, you're upset with me for wasting your time when it's actually you who are the one wasting time, because you won't actually just follow these simple instructions that I'm giving you and just answer these questions so we can both go on with our day. And it's like, at that point, what I really just want to tell them, and I think I've actually said this a couple times, is like, what you don't realize is that I am actually trying to do what I need to do to get you off the phone. But you keep insisting on wasting my time by asking me a question every time I ask you a question, instead of just answering the question that I asked you in the first place. Because trust me, I do not want to do this for any longer than I absolutely have to. But you keep making this worse on yourself. Like, we could have been done in 6 minutes. But you've now made this a 20-minute call because you somehow know how to do my job better than me. Because you just love wasting people's time. But anyway, like I said, I'm getting paid for this, sir. You are not. So continue to blabber on. Whatever makes you feel better about your day, do it. And then it's like, after all of that happens, finally, once you finish this arduous task of, verifying the information that you need, now you get to the point in the conversation where this decrepit degenerate of a customer won't do the one thing that you asked them to do. It'll be something simple like, do you agree to, what I've just explained to you about what happened and why this happened on your account? So yes, we can move on. If not, I can answer any questions that you have. Now it's like, they're like, well, I'm not agreeing to that because I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you did. Tell me what you did. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? And it's like, we are not about to go through all of this again. We're really not. I promise you we're not. And then here comes, or we might get to a point in the conversation where it's like, maybe the customer has to do something. Maybe they have to, type in their security code, on the keypad on their phone or something like that, or press 1 to continue, or whatever it is. It ain't never nothing crazy. It's always something simple, like just press 1 to accept, 2 to decline, whatever. And they're like, why do I need to do this? What are you doing? This isn't what I asked you to do. And I'm just like, well, technically you never asked me to do anything in the first place. You made me guess when you could have just told me what it was, and I could have just done it for you. But you would rather waste my time. At least that's what I'm thinking. Like, I just really wish that they would stop wasting my time and just let me get on with my day. Because that's really what I want to do. I want to help you so I can help myself get off this phone call so I can get to the next one. Actually, I want to get off this phone call so I can take a sip of this coffee that I've been waiting on. Then get on to the next call. But you won't let me be great because you want to waste time. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't get it. Somebody help me understand. And while I'm trying to understand, tell me something that your customers do or have done to waste your time. I really want to know. Now, where can you let me know at? It's a great question. I'm glad you asked. You can find me on Instagram and on Facebook at Real Work Stories Podcast. Check out my latest post. Comment, like, share. Because I really want to know, what's some things that your customers do to waste your time? All right. But this has been another episode of the Real Work Stories Podcast. Next episode will be airing on the 15th. So don't miss it. Bonus episode on the 15th. Thanks again for tuning in. Peace.